In this tutorial, I want to focus on the for loop. This loop's very complicated and there's a lot of switches for it. The first switch we're only going to go over the /f, /l. /l is pretty easy once you understand it. For loops take a variable, or output variable, which is %, and then a letter. G, B, C, D, G, F. So it can be anything. We're going to use A. /f, %, N, and then you also have these brackets in the for loop. And these brackets define what you're doing. And then do, and then we're going to put two brackets like this, and anything in this is what's going to be done every time we loop. And this is telling us what the loop is going to be like. /L's are a lister loop. It's a list. It lists things. So we have our starting position. We're going to is our first number, and then we have our second number, which is our increment. Let's say 1 as well. And then our last number, which is our end. Let's say 1, 2, 3. And then what it's going to do is it's going to say we're going to set %A to 1, and then we're going to execute this code here. Now when this code's finished, that's in the do brackets, we're going to add 1 to %A, then execute the codes again. And now every time the codes are executed, we're going to add 1 to it, which is our increment, which is the middle number. And then it's saying we're going to stop when %A is greater than or equal to 123. So we can see what's going on if we echo %A. Is every time it runs through this do, we're going to echo out %A to see what's going on. As you can see, it's going to count up to 1 like that. Let's just go ahead and change our increment. Let's say to 2, and now this goes up by 2s and stops right there, 1, 2, 3. Or let's go up maybe 7s. Now see, it goes up by 7s, and it stops right there at 120 because the next number is greater than or equal to 123. And so that's /list loops. Now this is how /f loops work. You have /f, some arguments, and then it looks basically the same, except here you insert a command. And let's say our command's echo dog, simple command. And our arguments, we have two different things in our arguments, tokens and delimeters. Let me show you what a token and a delimiter is. Let's say I have a sentence, I love to eat Cheerios. And what the delimiter is what symbol are we going to split this sentence? So let's say our delimiter, delim, which is just delims, delims, like that, is just equal to a space. That means we're going to split this by a space. Now, if tokens is equal to 1, then it's going to return, these arguments are going to return the first split. So if it's split by a space, the first token is I, the second token is love, then third is 2, then fourth, then fifth. But what if we split it by an O? Then the first token is going to be, split by an O. Then the first token is going to be I space L, second VE space T, third all the way over to here, then the fourth is an S. You see, delimeters is how we split up our strings, tokens is which split we go on. Now if we say tokens equals star, we're just selecting all the tokens. So that selects the entire string no matter what the delimiter is. So tokens equals, let's say 1, delims equals a space, %A. This is going to do the same thing. It's going to keep on looping through do like this, except every time it loops through do, it's going it's actually going to loop through the output of this command. And every time it executes this code, it's going to go to the next line. So, echo dog, since echo dog's only one line, it's just going to say dog. But if we say dog, yo, Bob, and see, it's still going to say dog. Because our delimiter is a space, and our token is 1. Now, if we change our token to, let's say, 2, it's going to change the output to yo. 3, Bob. Now let's change our delimiter to an O, and let's say first token, D, second token, which I'm guessing is G space Y, and then 3 is just going to be a B. Now, so that's just how tokens and delimiters work. If we put tokens equals star, you may see that a lot. That just selects everything, no matter what. And your default token is 1, and your default delimiter is a space. That means if you don't define anything in these arguments, it's going to just say dog, because default token's 1, default delimiter is a space. So if you just want to select anything, you don't need to define your delimiter because it doesn't matter. So you can just write tokens equals star. We're going to continue with our delimiters. And let's go to something else. This is how you can read a file line by line. Let's use our type command. Remember, type returns all the text in a file. Now, hello, Joe. I am black. Are you? Type test.txt, and what it's going to do is it's going to run these arguments on the first line of our output, which is the first line of the text file. And then after it executes do, it's going to go to the second line, and the third line, and the fourth line. So basically, this simple code right here is just going to list the context of the file. Now we can, change this a little bit by saying tokens equals 2. And now it says Joe MU. And another thing we can do is instead of reading files, see where I say ipconfig. See where it says default gateway? I can say or no, not this. Let's go to task list. So remember task list /nh. The /nh switch takes away the little thing at the top. See how all these are separated by spaces? Well, if we use delims equals 1, tokens equals 1, then task list /nh, we're just each time we're only going to select the first token separated by a space, which is only the name. And now when we run this, it's going to list all our tasks like that and not be so ugly. So that's it for this tutorial with the fors. Just play around with it. If you don't understand it, just play around and figure it out. And like I said, you can also say / and this will tell you all about it. Although it's a huge command, you'll be reading this for hours. Or you can / send to test.txt, and now you can read it. So you got more than / f. You have / d, / r, but the main ones are /l. So you can also use commas in here. I never showed you a normal for loop. Normal for loops are like this: for %% and 1, 2, 3. Do echo %%. I think that's a normal for loop. 1, 2, 3. See, normal for loop, you just list things in here, and then every time it goes through the loop, it just says %% is equal to what you listed. So I can say dog Joe pie, then dog Joe pie. It just goes through like that. Another thing you can do is say if percent %A is not equal to Joe, then echo %%A. Now what this will do, oh whoops, I gotta put it in quotes. If you put one of them in quotes, you gotta put the other in quotes. Now look, dog pie. So there I put something in there. So now once it loops through all these, if one of them is not equal to, if one of them's equal to Joe, it's not going to say it. So that's just it on for loops. I showed you regular for loops, /L for loops, and /F for loops. Those are the main ones. You can work with /D and /R, although I'm not ever going to go over those.